Welcome to the Madhouse. It's me, Geordie Pete Redding, on a Soccer Saturday where the games are played over 85 minutes. Ducking out of fixtures is the new normal. The transfer window, well, it's the transfer window. And the whole of Tyneside's got wood. Welcome to Hollywood Balls on Soccer Saturday. It's a warm welcome from me, Geordie Pete Redding. Today's episode is presented by Manscaped, as always. And watching us today, you've earned a 20% discount. By the way, if you use the code HollywoodBalls and log on to manscaped.com and get your fella an amazing Manscaped Valentine's gift. Everyone's in the house. Apologies, had a little bit of tech problems. My fault, no doubt. Kev is going to slaughter me. So it's a big Hollywood Balls welcome to my own Kevin Campbell. Ali Khaled's joining us today, and the one and only Glenn McCrory. Fellas, welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Ali. Hi,
Glenn. Lie down.
Pete, useless. Pete, useless.
Going for a lie down, I tell you.
Pete, I'm sorry, but I've just had my boy at Wallsend Boys Club. He got delayed, so I'm stuck in the car.
That's no problem. Listen, do what you've got to do. We can hear you all right. How are you anyway? How did you play?
Very good, thank you. Very good, yeah. Lovely brisk morning at Wallsend Boys Club. Loads and loads of kids there. So, yeah, great morning.
Absolutely brilliant. And you were saying, I mean, we've been in touch this week, but the lad's loving it, isn't he?
Very much so. Very much so. He's he's having a great time, and it's such a great place, great facilities, and there's so many great players come through that. Yep,
absolutely. We'll touch on that in a bit. Kev, I've got to get straight into it with you and Ali. Straight after this show, it's all blue, isn't it? And in a game where you feel Chelsea have got to win if they're going to have any aspirations of winning that title.
Yeah, Chelsea have to win this game. Manchester City at home. Look, Manchester City know they could see off another rival today by getting 3 points. So I'm sure they're going to be motivated to do that. I think Chelsea have to go for it big time. They have to be smart, but they have to go for the game. And they've got a good record at the Etihad, Chelsea have. So, they might fancy themselves today.
Good stuff. Also making his Hollywood Balls debut, but on a Soccer Saturday, it's Ali Khaled. Ali, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Pete. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
A pleasure. We're glad you could join us. You'll be looking forward to this one as well, football guru that you are.
No, I'll just follow up on what Kev said. I think, they can see off Chelsea if they win today. But honestly, I think they probably also see off Liverpool as well. Although Liverpool have a game less and will have 2 games less than Chelsea after this one, I think this is one of the games that City can drop points in. One of the few games you can see City dropping points. So not only, Chelsea really need to win, for their own sake, of course, and all that. But I think if they don't, then they might be out of the race, but so will Liverpool. I think this is one of the few games we can see Man City dropping points. So it affects Liverpool just as much.
It does indeed. Glenn, you were saying there that your young lad, he's playing at Wallsend Boys, but let's have it right. You were a bit of a player yourself, weren't you?
You know what? It was my first love. Obviously, George Best was my hero. Being from an Irish family, so I loved Bestie, and played for St Patrick's Juniors. And I got a trial for Sunderland. Me and Barry Venison both got trials for Sunderland. He went along, and I thought that's the end of my career if I've got a trial for Sunderland. But to be honest, I was well into the boxing by then, and I knew that was going to be my future. So I was I won. I scored the most hat-tricks one year, and Pop Robson presented me with a trophy and. So it was, my dad wanted me to be a footballer, but, boxing beckoned for me.
I've got to stay on that with the boxing because we had this conversation yesterday, and I was looking back at my question, and it was the one that made my dad smile because I said, coming from Anfield Plain, how do you get into boxing? But I think my dad could probably answer that from his school days.
You've got to be able to fight if you come from Anfield Plain. It's part of the course, But to be honest, getting into boxing was, as I said, it was kind of personalities that got me in sport. And George Best, I just thought he was the greatest footballer ever, and a great personality. But then a personality came up that I recognized, which was a bigger personality, and that was Muhammad Ali. And
Right.
that just took over my life. I absolutely adored Muhammad Ali, everything he did, not just as a fighter in the ring, but the stance that he took outside the ring. He was such a brave man, such a legend, and that was it. I just wanted to be Ali.
Brilliant, amazing, and I've got to say, Ali, you've been on the show before.
Not that
picture
Ali.
has all been there. Not that Ali.
Not that Ali.
It's like right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
and that's always. He hasn't just put that up
Good
today,
man.
by the way. Brilliant stuff. Okay, Ali and Kev. I'm going to come to Kev first because I wanted to talk about Ronaldo. He's always in the news for whatever reason. But Kev, as a former player, and this really does fascinate me, and all players are different, and I understand that. But in your opinion for this show, him basically slaughtering his teammates for their ethic and this and that, and doing it through public mediums and media with the backing of Ralph Rangnick, does that give them the kick up the backside they need, Kev, or does it affect a few of them?
Well, here's the crazy thing, you see, Pete. One thing you can do, you could always stand on the truth.
Yeah.
And Cristiano Ronaldo has not come to Manchester United to mess about. He has come there to try and win and try and be a difference maker in the league. Now, he's seeing his teammates down tools. It's not good enough. So I'm sure in the background, he has ranted and raved. You've seen him throw tantrums on the football pitch, and it's not had the desired effect. So I wouldn't be surprised if him and Rangnick have got together and said, right, I'm going to come out and say this. And if it upsets a few, so be it. Let's see if there's a reaction then. Because whatever they're doing, Pete, hasn't worked.
Okay, interesting. And as you say, that it's not working, and it does look very much like it's minimal effort. Ali, what's your take on it?
Well, when Ronaldo joined, I mean, we could see some of this coming, really, because when he joined, there was like such a mood of optimism at Manchester United. Everyone's so happy. And some of the things that were being said were like, people like Greenwood and Rashford, are going to benefit from this. And some of the young players are all going to benefit, by just watching him in the dressing room, watching his professionalism and all that. And it's not really the way it's worked out. It's turned out they've gotten less opportunities. The team has been moved around. Again, this is not Ronaldo's fault, but it just hasn't been handled well, I think. And they seem like they, as Kev said, they've down tools. They don't seem inspired by him. They seem to have taken a step backwards, and it's very strange, But it runs across the whole United team as well. And some people are saying he's the problem. I mean, how can he be the problem? You've signed a great goal scorer, one of the best in the world, and it's up for the others to sort of raise their level. And it just seems like they've kind of been negatively affected by it. And there seems to be these different cliques at the club. It's very strange.
One to watch. Speaking of sort of, big names, Glenn, for our younger listeners and new listeners, because we've got people from all over the world, tell us about the link that you have with Iron Mike Tyson and explain it, because it's fascinating to me.
Well, I went out to spar with Iron Mike Tyson
as
at 20, as you do. Mike was 21. He was undisputed heavyweight champion. I'd had a tough time as a heavyweight. I'd started off great. I won my first 14 fights, but I was just 19 years of age, and my manager, just started putting me in with anybody, and I started losing fights. I went down to cruiserweight, and everything start to click. That was the weight that I was. Never lost a fight for a while. Then won the Commonwealth title. And I got a phone call off a friend of mine, James Tillis, who I'd sparred with.
Yep.
Who's a great American heavyweight, and he said, "Glenn, and I was still on the dole at this point. I wasn't I wasn't making any money. I was on the dole." And he said, "Do you want to come and do some sparring? I've got some work with it." And I said, "Who with?" He said, "Mike Tyson." And you know what? At that time he was unbeatable. He was an absolute. He was just a force of nature. He was fantastic. Beating everybody. And I thought, this is my test. I've got to test myself to see if I do it. I'm only a cruiserweight, giving away a lot of weight, but I thought I'm going to go out there and see what I could do. And I went out there, ended up, doing three training camps with him, 96 rounds, becoming good friends and surviving. And, it served me well, because I then went on to win the British title and become world champion the following year. So it was that working with Mike really did, was great for my career. Wasn't that good for my brain, I don't think, but the rest of my body. but it was great. It was tremendous.
A friend of yours messaged me this morning. You're on the front of a book that's been delivered to me about celebrity Newcastle United fans. Angie. Angie's book, yeah. And she said, "Oh, I've sent this book out for you," and she sent me a picture of it because it's on its way for one of our shows. And there you are on the front of the book. So indeed, it is. It's a very small world. But speaking of Iron Mike, he'd be a sort of ideal guest, wouldn't he, for an evening with something I believe that you'll be looking at in the very near future.
Very much so. We're going to do some big events. I'm getting a bar at Stonham Barns, a caravan park called McCrory Sporting Bars. All you guys are going to be welcome. We'll have you along there. And we're getting.
There'll be no bothering there.
No, I hope not. And really looking forward. It's a fabulous part of the world down in the Fens. It's a great caravan park, and we're hoping to have regular guests, regular sports stars, and really make it a hub of entertainment for that part of the world, and make it a great place to relax and have fun with the kids.
Brilliant. Absolutely can't wait for that. More of that to come over the coming weeks as we learn more about it. Ali, yourself, you joined me last night on the new Hollywood Balls Africa show, which was absolutely fantastic. It was great. A fascinating chat with Marley's Bakary Diakati. Really interesting. But again, we were saying, weren't we? I mean, just give us a snapshot of your take so far on the AFCON, because apart from a few dodgy refereeing decisions and games that last 85 minutes, by the way, it's still exciting, and people are, "Oh, there's not enough goals," but it's building into a nice tournament.
It's picking up. So, like in the first 15 matches, 10 of them were 1-0 wins, and not particularly exciting, and 3 of them were 0-0s, and it was only Cameroon, the hosts, who had scored more than 1 goal in 2 of their matches. So it started off slow, and there's a lot of criticism and saying, as we know, like especially from Europe, where people not particularly keen on this tournament. But I think people have to realize they were given about less than a week to prepare. Like these players, they went straight from their clubs to the teams, to the national teams. So and with quarantine and travel and all that, they end up training 4 or 5 days before the tournament started. So these first games were really almost like what would have been a friendly games in normal times.
Warm-up games.
I mean, of course, a lot of people are going to say, well, that's the problem with the African Cup of Nations. It's in the middle of the season. But, people need to be careful, because this is going to be the case in the World Cup next year.
Sure.
There's going to be 1 week between leaving the Premier League or the German League and the Italian League and going to so I think, the criticisms of it's been boring and it's dull and teams aren't performing. Well, that's, it's a product of the fact that, people just don't have any preparation time, and that's going to be the case in the World Cup. Apart from that, I think it's picking up slightly. Nigeria were brilliant, like I said yesterday. They played against Egypt and completely outplayed Egypt,
didn't they?
I mean, they completely bullied Egypt. Mo Salah was like a no-show really, and Egypt were like had no game plan. They did what Argentina do, which is pass the ball to your number 10 and try and hope for the best, and it just didn't work. So I think Nigeria have been the best team so far from what I've seen, along with the hosts Cameroon.
One to watch. Kev, you ever played in a game where the ref blows up after 85 minutes?
No, but you know what? I've hoped it plenty of times. Let me tell you, if you're winning 1-0, you're hoping just blow the bloody whistle, ref. No, it's no, I haven't, Pete. To be honest, and I'm not sure what goes on. Obviously, if there's a lack of communication or what, or there's a dodgy watch or two.
It's a new watch.
Yeah, there's a dodgy watch or two. I think Delboy sold him a batch of watches, didn't he? So, yeah, that's probably it. But the tournament will get better. I'm sure it will.
Yeah. And again, we've got a lot of Nigerian fans in the house as well. So good luck to them in action as well. So it's a big, big tournament for all of the teams. But I've got a soft spot for our Nigerian fans who support Hollywood Balls. I've probably put the mockers on there. Kev, you know what I'm like with that.
I know, Pete. Pete, I tell you one time when I met Mike Tyson in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Listen, me and him nearly had a row, right? Me and him nearly had a row because he was
not recommended, Kevin.
Hey, listen, I was going to have it with him. Do you know why, Glenn? He kept calling me Bruno. No, we had a great laugh. He was an absolute diamond guy. And a friend of ours said to say hello. You know him, Glenn. Big Joe Egan. He's a friend. He's a friend of me and my pal. So we were talking to Mike, and he said he isn't a friend. He said he's my brother. Joe Egan is my brother. So we had a great time. It was brilliant. He's a really, really nice man, Glenn.
He is. Yeah. I mean, we had some great times. It was never that good in the ring, though. In the ring was a bit heated.
Both of you, again, something similar in common, sorry, lads, is Glenn, that you were really, really well respected, and I know from everyone that I've spoken to, as a pundit, everyone used to love to tune into the boxing on Sky, but it was something else that caught my attention, and I'm going to bring this up, and I'll embarrass myself as well as you for this, by the way. Not many people know, but I'm a massive fan of Casualty on the TV. Okay. You know what's coming here, don't you?
I know.
On TV, Glenn was there in all his glory and Casualty, having a row with Del Boy's wife, Raquel. Can you remember?
I can.
You were in your digger, and they were protesting, and you were having a right go at her. And I said, how many times does that happen?
They pulled me out my digger, and I ended up choking on some chewing gum. I mean, it could have been something worse. Could have been something worse. Could have been a heart attack. I'm choking on chewing gum, and I had to get the Heimbrich's maneuver on Casualty, didn't I? No. Yeah, that was back in my acting days.
Brilliant stuff! Okay, so Kev, if it goes ahead, and we might find out during this show, but a massive derby weekend, isn't it, in North London?
Yeah, it is. It really is. Obviously, look, Spurs have had a nice little break, and but they're not playing well, Pete. Arsenal are decimated, not necessarily with COVID cases, but just with injuries and players going down ill or whatever. So, listen, it's one of those days where I want the game on tomorrow, Pete. I could tell you that much, because I think for once we can lean on that defence.
Yeah,
that defence can see us through. Got a great result against Liverpool, obviously, and now it's time, I think, to get the game on and get them beat, Pete. That's what I say.
I fancy that, Kev, as well, and I'd say most Arsenal fans will be, although it's coming from Arsenal because of the lack of players, I would say they'd be like, get amongst it. Got to say a quick hi to Junior Turner, a man you know well, Glenn, singer extraordinaire.
Great singer.
He's tuned in today. Great lad, isn't he? Yeah. Funnily enough, I was invited to the Wallsend Boys Club 50th anniversary by Lee Clark, and Junior was singing there, and that's how we met. An absolute great guy. Ali, Arsenal Spurs, traditional North London. So we're going to get an outside view, because normally on this show it was one Spurs and one Arsenal. So it was always slightly tainted with a bit of bias. How do you see it?
I watched obviously Liverpool against Arsenal the other day, and Arsenal had Xhaka sent off so early in the match. There was 60 minutes left. And in previous games, particularly against Liverpool at Anfield, this has happened a few times. They've lost a man or they've conceded early and they collapsed. I mean, Kev will remember some of these games, like in recent years, they just haven't really performed. And this was the exact opposite. They were just excellent on the night, really, really good. I thought Ben White was brilliant. They even lost, can't remember who they lost to injury, but Cedric, they lost Cedric, so Ben White was great in defense, and they didn't allow Liverpool any chances at all. There was just one late chance which Minamino missed, but one of the things that we've criticized Arsenal about over the last few years, that maybe the defense is not as good, or like they tend to collapse if it's a big game and all that. And I think they showed with that one, like the progress that they've been having. They were very good against Man City as well recently. Lost late in stoppage time. So I know that the FA Cup game was not great, but I think in the league they've been playing well. And I do fancy Arsenal to get something out of this one, because I know Tottenham have, scraped through in the FA Cup, had a couple of, off results in the league.
Great, are they?
They're not looking great, and I fancy Arsenal this time around.
Good stuff. Glenn, you touched on it just before, in your career itself, but 89 was a special time. King of the world, literally. Do you still fondly recall that, that scrap with Chisanda Muti? Because that was the day that changed everything, wasn't it?
Well, to be honest, the world title fight was part of Lumumba in Stanley, which was amazing. Was absolutely amazing, because it was the first time a council had bid for a fight. We didn't know where the fight was going to be. They wanted to have it in the Northeast, and my local council, Stanley Council, they voted. They paid to get it in Stanley, which was an amazing benefit, because Lumumba was a really good fighter.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, because I trained like really hard, and I was very confident and all the rest of it. And then I read the paper that day, Colin Hart, who pretty much made my career by giving me such great praise early on in my career. And the headline that day was "Glenn's a gunner," and they give me absolutely no chance whatsoever. And I remember thinking, wow, it's not about me. I'm just here to make the numbers up, sort of thing. And then I got to the arena, and just to see to let you know how blasé, well, not blasé, but how much I didn't understand how big it was. I went to see my daughter at the bottom of the street. It was 300 yards away where the venue was, where I lived. So I went there, saw my daughter, had my bag, and I walked up the street by myself, go to world title fight. And I'm looking around, and I see guys in bow tie, and then I see a girl in posh frock. Then I see a limousine pull up at the top of the street. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on in Stanley tonight? And then when I got to the venue, there's crowds there and TV trucks, and everybody started going mad. And I thought, Jesus, this is for me. And I had no clue. And then
amazing.
When I got in the dressing room, it was everybody was very, very down and low mood. And as I walked out to the venue, the crowd went ballistic. And it was just, and I remember going out thinking, you know what? Nobody's told this lot I'm going to lose. And I went out there, and it was just the crowd just took me through it. I mean, it was just fantastic, and a wonderful occasion. And I won well. And then I had people at the end that they give me the microphone and said, make a speech. And my speech was, Stanley Dole office, I'm not coming back. And I signed off the Dole. That's how hard my career was. I signed off the Dole live on ITV.
Brilliant.
Absolutely amazing. I love that, though. Yeah, I mean, what's going on in Stanley tonight? Is there a do one? Absolutely brilliant. I tell you what, the Kev, got to mention it, because it's we say every week on our Newcastle podcast as well. Is this the weekend for Newcastle? But they'll be dancing in tuxes and dresses tonight if the Toon can get 3 points.
We have to.
The Toon they have to. Newcastle have to get 3 points.
Yeah.
It's Watford. Watford ain't great, let's be honest.
No.
They do carry a threat, Pete. Let's be honest, they do carry a threat. But, You've got to win the game today. You win the game today, I think you're gonna get that
Kick on.
momentum. A couple more
Yeah.
players coming in, and you're gonna be fine. You know, you're gonna be fine.
But
you
it's
have to
so
win
important. Today is so important because I don't think if we don't win today, I don't think there's any way back.
Yeah, it's one of those, and I'm with you, Glenn. And even Alan Shearer said today on his just tweeted literally, "I don't care how you do it, just do it, just get it done." Ali, it's a recurrent theme on our Black and White with Arab News podcast, isn't it? Every guest that we have on, I could record from the first episode, the first 5 minutes of the podcast, couldn't I?
Yeah, we say the same things week after week after week, and we've been saying, in isolation that's been a good performance, and in isolation that's been a decent point, and they've done well here, and there's a mood of optimism and all that. But none of that matters anymore. I said last time, Eddie Howe just has run out of time. There's no time left. Like Glenn just said, they have to win today. There's no other option. If they don't, I hate to say it with half a season left, but if you can't, this is the one you really have to win. The game after that is against Leeds, who have been improving. So you don't want to get like no points from those two games, or like even two, or you're looking at 4 points from those two games, and you'd want the 3 to come against Watford today. Otherwise,
also, Kev, wishing Chris Wood well on his debut. He's been the butt of quite a lot of talk. It's not his fault, is it? He's there to do a job. He's seen a move. He's accepted it. He's taken it. Certain BBC pundits, who I won't name, but used to play for Leicester, England, and Everton, queried it. I'd love to see him get off to a flying start.
Pete, there's only one way for these haters. Stick the ball in the onion bag, mate. Stick the ball in the onion bag, get 3 points, and let them have to apologize. Let's see them squirm. Listen, I believe Newcastle are going to be fine. Newcastle have got deep pockets now. They're going to make the adjustments. But what you want the momentum, don't you? You want to win the game and carry the momentum forward. I think they will. I'd love to see Chris Wood be the difference maker today. Just so that he could introduce himself to the Toon Army. I think that's going to be really important.
Definitely. Glenn, I wanted to touch on something, and your career has been based on as well, and it's absolutely fascinating. It's the uplifting tale that's carrying David, the story about the two brothers, and it's been made into a play as well. Absolutely incredible.
The play is fabulous. A one-man show. Mick Cochran, the actor, is and I know it's my story, but it is absolutely fantastic. If you get the chance to see it, it's wonderful. And it's obviously it's very touching to me because it was very hard for me. I watched my brother have a serious disablement, and over years he was sort of steadily dying every day. So it was very, very hard, but he was my inspiration to win the world title. He was there ringside. It's very hard. It's still to this day, I miss him dearly, but he was such courage, such strength. His story, not my story. His story is far better than mine, and that's what carrying the story's all about. It's great. If you get the chance to see it, please do.
Paul Jerry's in the house. Paul, great to have you on board. I know you enjoyed the show last night. He said, Glenn, was your title fight at the Louisa Leisure Centre near the cinema?
It was, yep, right next door. Okay. And your dad's watching, isn't he? Your dad your dad was at school just in front of me, wasn't he? Just close to me, yeah. The street in front of me was where the school was. I've got a guest just joined the show.
Hey, top man, look at him.
Aidan McCrory, Newcastle's future centre forward.
Love it.
We might need him today.
Get him signed up now.
Yeah. Get his boots. Is he ready for today? Yeah.
I hope so.
Great stuff. Speaking of needing a forward, Kev, listen, I've got to bring it up. Everton and Rafa, they're facing Norwich. I mean, literally, Rafa could beat Real Madrid in the cup and he'd still be unpopular. So if he gets beaten against Norwich today, he's really up against it, isn't he?
Pete, this is a trap game for Rafa Benitez. This is a game where if Everton don't win, there's gonna be nightmare. It's gonna be a nightmare. If Everton do win, then it's expected. So it's a trap game for him. Look, Everton really need to get some wins under their belt. They're desperate. Obviously, won in the FA Cup after putting themselves in a difficult situation. But Rafa Benitez he's really under the pump, especially Lucas Digne going as well. They've got to hit the ground running with 3 points.
Great stuff. Glenn, we'll just literally keep you another 2 minutes and let you get back with your family.
To the family.
No, it's
great to be on the show.
Catching up, and we will get you back on. It's taken us a few years, hasn't it, to get together and do this, but boy, has it been worth it. But I can't let you go without asking. We chatted about it yesterday, and when I read about it and I do my research, I'm always like, is that real? Is it? Did that happen? There's a certain tattoo you've got that I love, isn't there?
There certainly is, yeah. And I told you about it. I'm gonna have to show you boys. She'll be. It's War Cheryl.
There you go. It's Cheryl.
Is it War Cheryl? Get out! Really? Oh, hello.
Love it. Absolutely brilliant. There we go.
War Cheryl. It's War Cheryl. Cheryl Cole.
And there's an 18 put on today's show.
The story behind it is I wanted a pin-up, and I was going to Marilyn Monroe tattoo on the thing, and I thought, you know what? She was gone before my time, a wonderful lady, but we got somebody in the Northeast who's absolutely stunning. She's done fantastic. You know, she carved out a wonderful career, and, you know, really, really proud of her. So I thought I'd get Cheryl Cole on my arm many years ago.
Brilliant. Listen, Glenn, what we hope for is that you'll come back on soon. 3 points today, of course.
Most definitely.
And we'll be in touch. But Ali, thank you so much.
Great to see you guys.
Take care, Glenn. All the best. Love to the family. Have a great day.
Thanks very much. And Geordie, Pete, God bless you, mate. See you soon.
Cheers.
Take care. See you soon. Absolute legend.
Top guy. Top guy.
Just the measure of the man. Yeah. Just the measure of the man, Kev, that he literally says, oh, there must be something going on in Stanley tonight. I mean, absolutely incredible, really, isn't it?
Humble. Very humble guy. Very humble. Humble beginnings. Very humble. And still, as you can see, such a great guy.
Absolutely. Ali, I wanted to drop down into the Championship just for a bit, because we do every now and then and every so often have a look at what's going on there and whisper it quietly. But Blackburn Rovers are going about their business again. Do you think there could be a sensational return?
Yeah, I mean, I was, we get obviously. We get to watch the Championship here, and I try and watch as many. I mean, we don't get that many games. So, and in all honesty, I haven't seen Blackburn that many times, but I've seen them twice. And yeah, I mean, they're 3 points off from Bournemouth, and 2 off the second automatic promotion from Fulham, going really, really well. I think Tony Mowbray has done a great job. I'm trying to remember. I watched one of their games a few weeks ago, and they were. I think they were down, and then they came back to win. So they look pretty strong. I do think that Bournemouth look really strong. I mean, I like Bournemouth with Solanke has been brilliant. I think finally, I think this is a guy we watched at Liverpool, and we saw maybe he could be a player, and he's been great in the Championship. So I think Bournemouth are going to go up automatically. So maybe the second place between Blackburn and Fulham. But Blackburn have been great, obviously Ben Brereton has been fantastic. 20 goals, is it, Kev? Has he scored 20 goals?
I think he's got a skip load of goals, hasn't he? He's flying.
Yeah. I think about 20 goals, and what a story! What a lovely story! Before the summer, we hadn't even really heard of him much, and he goes to plays for Chile and has this amazing impact on the Copa America, and then he comes back to the Championship and scores all these goals. I think he's either on 19 or 20. So yeah, it could be. I mean, like I said, we don't get to watch a lot of Blackburn, but what we've seen is very, very impressive, and they're going really strong now.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Cup goal for your boy as well, Kev.
Yeah, it was a great. I was there, Pete. Luckily, went to the game. And it's quite ironic. Maybe it's the first time to ever happen. You had Ian Wright's grandson, Sean's boy, starting. You had Paul Ince's son starting. My lad was on the bench. My lad comes off the bench and scores. Ince's boy scores the first. My lad scores the second. So 3 ex-players, lads, and grandson playing. Amazing.
The next generation, and Wright, he mentioned it as well. He was on ITV, and he was guesting alongside Roy Keane, and Idris Elba was on there as well, a special guest, and that cropped up, and that's going to be a great quiz question for the future, isn't it?
It will be. It definitely will be. Definitely will be.
Okay, listen, wanted to get into Baller of the Week, our sort of tribute to the people that have been making the football news of the week. And as always, we'll go with guests first. So, AK, have you got a baller, a Hollywood baller of the week for us?
Jared Bowen at West Ham. Against Norwich, scored 2 goals. And I think he's just been excellent all season. Like a great player, you know. Again, I know, like, you know, sometimes I know he was linked even recently with Liverpool, I think, and this clearly, like, I think Klopp likes him, and he would fit in that system. But you know, you get people saying, "Oh, you know, like, no, Liverpool should be looking at other players, like maybe from Europe, or like, you know, more high-profile players." But why? You know, this guy fits in, like, ticks off all the right boxes. What a great player he's been! Incredible work ethic. You know. Runs himself into the ground. I saw a couple of games where he played like a little bit slightly into the middle rather than on the right, you know. But has been scoring goals and like puts in, you know, like he presses, you know, like he's one of like Moyes' team is unrecognizable from West Ham of a few years ago, you know, and like they're so cohesive that when they press, and he's like a massive part of it compared to some of the players who played before, you know, like Anderson last year, who's back at Lazio and all that, who didn't really put in the shift that he's at. I mean, he fits West Ham brilliantly, and good luck to them. And I think, like, again, scoring the 2 goals against Norwich, an expected win. I mean, we expected West Ham to win, and they won it. But he has been, like, in general, just excellent all across, and did again in midweek.
He said as well that, you know, he's his own hardest critic, that maybe he needs a little bit of sort of this performance every week in his game. It was in a very frank interview post-match. So, JB, for you, Super Kev, who have you got for us?
Yeah, listen, I looked at Bowen, and if Ali said somebody else, I would have gone with Bowen. I've got to say, but I'm going to go with Vinicius Jr. at Real Madrid.
Yep.
Last week he got 2 goals, and then in the semi-final against for El Clasico, for the Super Cup, he's a difference. His rise and his consistency has been amazing since Carlo Ancelotti's got there. His end product has gone right up, and he got 2 goals against Valencia last week, as did Benzema, and he made a difference against Barcelona. So I'm going to give it to Vinicius Jr. I think his improvement has been incredible.
And I would say, I'd add one thing very quickly, Kevin. Had Kevin gone first and said Bowen, I would have gone for Ben White. I thought, just for the performance at Anfield.
Yeah.
Okay, I've gone for the ref in the Marley game. He's my baller of the week.
Hey, he had a date, Pete. He had a date.
Hurry up.
Maybe with Specsavers. Okay, listen, don't forget, Valentine's is just nearly upon us. So get yourself online. Use our Hollywood Balls discount, and that is the discount code. It's Hollywood Balls. Log on to manscaped.com. Get your fella that. There you go. Your balls will thank you. Hollywood Balls and, of course, Manscaped partnering up to give you that. Before we get into the predictions, something that piqued my sense of humour this week, Kev, and I wanted to share it with you. Someone we both know. But someone on Twitter had put, my favourite thing of 2021 in football was a pub quiz question. And one of the team members was asked, which former Nottingham Forest and Liverpool footballer has a steamy scene with Sharon Stone in the opening scenes of Basic Instinct 2? Everyone knows, of course, it was Big Stan. And the guy at the table answered, Nigel Clough. somehow can't really see Cloughie in Basic Instinct. I might be doing him a disservice, but Stan it was. I remember that. Great stuff. Okay, it's time. It's that time again. Can you believe it?
Let's go.
Welcome to it, Ali. You're going to enjoy this, I think.
Who won last week, Pete?
Well, you and Barry drew 5s apiece, and I was your winner last week on 6.
Jeez, oh no.
There you go. Yeah, that's how poor
No,
you boys were
that's
that I
allowed,
won.
Pete, because I think that's the second time you've won in about 6 years. So that's all right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, in the house today, we've got a lot, and we couldn't fit them all in as well. So, but we do have your scores, so we'll register them. But newbie, welcome to Ian Sanders from Dubai. Great to have him on board. Who else is in the house? We've got so many. Lee Cosgrove, Manchester's in. Samantha's in. Martin Craig, Man City. Who else is in? Jane Cowan, who I used to go to school with. She's off to the match and probably cocktails afterwards if they win. Great to see Jane involved as well. Okay, Jamie's in as well. So great stuff. Guess first as always. Early game, Ali. Give us a score for Man City Chelsea.
3-1 Man City.
3-1 to Man City. Super Kev.
2-1 City.
2-1 to City. I've gone 2-0.
To City.
Ian, yes, I have.
And Glenn says 1-0 City.
Okay.
I'll do Glenn's for him.
Yeah. Okay. Great stuff. Ian's.
If he wins, I tell you what.
No. Unbelievable, Jeff. 3-1. Ian Sanders has gone for City. Jamie's got 1-0 City. Lee Cosgrove, Manchester United fan. City 1, Chelsea 2. Samantha's gone the same. 2-1 to Chelsea. Martin Craig, City fan. 2-0 to City. Who else has we got? Jason, 2-1 to Man City. And Jane Cowan's got the same, 2-1 to Man City. Okay, Ali, up to St James's Park. Newcastle, Watford.
Newcastle 2, Watford 1.
Okay. Super Kev.
I've got the same 2-1.
Okie dokes. I've got 2-0. Somehow Saturday seems like a good day for a clean sheet.
Glenn's got 2-1.
Okay, great stuff. Ian Sanders has gone 2-0 to the Toon. Jamie's gone 1-1 draw. Lee Cosgrove's taken 2-0 to Watford. Okay. So has Samantha taken 2-0 to Watford. Martin Craig's taken a 1-1 draw. Jace has gone 3-1 to the Toon. And Jane Cowan's gone 3-1 to the Toon as well. AK, Villa Man United.
I'm going to go Villa 2, Manchester United 1.
Okay, nothing to do with the Liverpool roots there at all. Super Kev.
I'm going 2-0 Villa.
2-0 to Villa. Okay, I've gone the same as AK. I've gone 2-1 to Villa.
Glenn's gone 2-1.
Okay. Ian Sanders has gone 1-0 Villa. Jamie's 2-1 Villa. Lee Cosgrove, Man U, 2s each. That'll show you because Lee's normally so buoyant about his own team. Whatever is happening, it'll show you what's going on there. Okay, Sam's gone 2-2 as well. Martin Craig of Manchester City's taken Aston Villa 4, Man United 1. Brilliant. Jace has gone 2-1 to Villa, and Jane Cowan's taken a 1-1 draw. Okay, Ali, we've got West Ham and Leeds, the rematch.
West Ham 2, Leeds 0.
West Ham 2, Leeds 0. Super Kev.
I've got the same 2-0, same score.
Same score.
Yeah.
I've got 3-1 to West Ham.
3-1 the Hammers. Glenn's got 3-1 as well.
Okay. 2-1 to the Hammers for Ian Sanders. 2-0 for Jamie. That's 2-0 to West Ham. Same for Lee Cosgrove. Same for Samantha. Same for Martin Craig. Same for Jace. And Jane Cowan's got 4-1 to West Ham. Last up, game of the weekend for me. Forget the one in the early game. If it goes ahead, and I hope it does, Ali, it's Spurs-Arsenal.
Right, so I think I've been a bit obvious with all my other predictions. I'll stick my neck out for this one. It's going to be Spurs 1, Arsenal 2.
Okay. Kev's dancing. Super Kev.
Yeah, I've got the same, Pete. 2-1 to the Arsenal.
2-1 to the Arsenal. I'll take that. I've actually got 1-1. So there
That's
you
what
go.
Glenn's
Derby
got.
game.
Glenn's got 1-1.
Ian Sanders has got Spurs 4, Arsenal 0. Must have been on the hot sauce this morning, Kev.
Must have been, mate. I tell you.
Jamie's gone 1-1. Lee Cosgrove's got 2-1 to Spurs. So has Samantha. Martin Craig's got 2-1 to the Arsenal. Jace has got 2s each. And Jane Cowan's got 2-0 to Spurs. mixed bag there. I do see Arsenal as I know they're away, but I just fancy Arsenal. But it's a derby game, and anything can happen. Okay, great stuff. Brilliant show. That's it. There we are. 45 minutes is up. Big games coming up. So whoever your team is, good luck this weekend. Apart from Watford. Brilliant to have everyone on board. We've had a massive audience today. Massive thanks to Glenn McCrory and to Ali Khaled, and of course our own Super Kevin Campbell. Gents, have a brilliant weekend.